In this video clip, we're just going to review a few things about some Excel basics. Last time we talked about columns, rows, cells, and sheets. So let's take a quick look at some of the specifications on this. If you take a look at the top, you can see that right now I'm in column B. If I cursor back over to the leftmost column, you can see it's A. If I start cursoring over to the right, we get all the way out here to column STU, and then it continues on V, X, Y, and then once I get past Z, it all starts over again with AA, AB, AC, and so on, and I can keep on going to the right, and it just kind of keeps on going with numbers of different columns. So a quick way to get all the way over as right as you can on the spreadsheet is if you hit your end key, the END, the end key, hit that once. Down in the lower left hand corner you'll see it says end mode. If you hit the end key again, it turns it off, so it works as a toggle switch. It's just on and off, on and off. So I want to turn that on. Then I'm going to hit my right arrow key on the keyboard, and that takes me to the rightmost column, which happens to be XFD. Now to get back home, you can just hit your home key on the keyboard, and it takes you all the way back to column A. So columns go from A to XFD, and to find out how many columns that is, we'll use some numbers and rows. So the next thing I want to do is take a look at rows. So our first row is row number 1. If I start scrolling down on my spreadsheet, you can see the row numbers are starting to change. Alright, so I'm up to number 36 now, down here. And if I keep on going down, eventually I'll get into the hundreds and 200s. If you hit your page down key, it goes about 20 or 30 rows at a time. So that's another way to move around. Finally, what I'm going to do is hit my end key again, turn on the end indicator, and then hit the down arrow, and it takes you all the way down to row number 1,448,576. So I'll hit Control, hold the Control key, and hit Home once. That takes me back up to cell A1. And for the rows, we've got 1,048,576. Oops, hang on, I forgot a 0 in there. There we go. Alright, I want to find out exactly how many kind of rows and columns and cells that's going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to row number 20, type in 1, 2, 3, and I could keep on doing this all the way out to my rightmost column, XFD. But instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a formula. So I'll type in an equal sign, point to the cell just to the left of it, and here you can see what I did is I typed in an equal sign, used my left arrow key, and pointed back to cell A20. It says that I'm in point mode. I'll type in a plus and the number 1 and hit enter, and I get 2 typed in there. Now I'm going to format this cell with a comma format, decrease the decimal twice, and then copy that formula. So I hit Control C to copy it. It puts this blinking box called the marquee around my selected cell. I'm going to hold my Shift key down and cursor over to the right, and then hit enter. And what that's done is it takes the previous cell, A20, adds 1 to it, and gives you the result, the number 2. So if I would change this number to 500, you can see I've got 501, 502, 503. It's always given me the previous cell, the one to the left, and adds 1 to it. That's what's known as a relative cell reference. So I want to set this back to 1, and then I want to take this formula and copy that all the way over to the right. So I'm going to hit Control C to copy it, hold my Shift key down, hit the end key once, and hit my right arrow. I want to copy that formula into all these cells all the way over to the right. So I've selected the destination, and now I'm going to press enter, and I've got my formulas in. So if I start scrolling through these, you can see when I get out here to column AZ, this is the 50-second column. So if I hit the end key once, my right arrow key, we can see that XFD is actually 16,384 columns that are on my spreadsheet. Alright, whatever you do, don't print out the spreadsheet because it's going to print tons and tons of sheets, and in fact if you want to find out how many sheets it's going to print out, you can click on File and Print, and in print preview mode, it's probably going to take a second or so to see if we can pull this up. It will display how many pages would get printed out if we actually hit the print on it. So I'm just going to go back. I really don't want to print that out. And I'm going to hit home to take me back. I want to delete this row because I don't want to accidentally save this and have somebody print it out. So I'm going to right click on row 20, choose delete, and I've just deleted all those formulas. Hit control home. So XFD was 16,384. If you want to get into computers and so on, you'll know that computers do everything in binary, so everything is based off of powers of 2. So if I type in this following formula, equals 2 and raise it to the 14th power, that gives me 16,384 columns in a spreadsheet. The 1,048,576 is actually equal to 2 raised to the 20th power. So I'm going to format those with comma format and get rid of the decimal places. So that's the reason why they chose that number as opposed to just a million. So if we want to know how many cells we'd have, I multiply the two. I'll take 16,384 times 1,048,576, and I get a little over 17 billion cells on a spreadsheet, which, another way of thinking about it, it's equal to 2 raised to the 14 plus 20, or the 34th power. When you multiply numbers, or when you multiply exponents, it's the same as though adding those, and you can see I get the same number there. So I'm going to use my format painter, format these numbers. As I formatted this one, you'll notice that I get a bunch of pound signs. It just means that the column is too narrow. So to change that, I'm going to click and either click and drag between C and D, or if you just double click, it will make that column just wide enough to display the sheet, or the column, I'm sorry. And finally, for the sheets, really it kind of depends on how many sheets you have. If we had 5 sheets in a spreadsheet, we could multiply out the numbers of cells in a spreadsheet times the number of sheets and quickly find out how many possible cells there are in a workbook. And that one really depends on how many sheets you put. I'm guessing that's really kind of a function of how much memory you have in your computer. So we've done a few things. We took a look at the number of cells on a sheet. We ran through some different examples of cell entries where we typed in some text, we typed in some numbers, we typed in some formulas where we put in our own functions. And next, what we'll start working on is some of the built-in functions and do a few more things. So let's rename my sheet tab down here, call this specifications, and we'll close up this video.